My book starts with the sentence, "It all comes down to the music." And I go through the entire 71 years of my life, it all comes down to the music.
At 84, Graham Nash has just made a decision on stage that left fans stunned.
I've actually been a photographer longer than I've been a musician, but I could never get women with a camera.
The legendary singer who once stood at the pinnacle of the global music scene is still moving forward through pain, both physical suffering and family fractures that seem impossible to mend.
I left my bank account, all my equipment. I was getting divorced from my first wife, Rose. I left everything. That was the power of that vocal sound.
What is the greatest price he has had to pay after spending decades giving himself fully to his passion and love? What is really happening in his private life in New York right now? The answer may leave you astonished.
What I like to do is celebrate the ordinary moments in life. I personally think that time and our family are all we have.
Today, Graham Nash still lives in New York with his third wife, artist Amy Grantham. He has been connected to the city for about 11 years and maintains a relatively stable lifestyle. Nash's current days center on music photography, health, and personal activities. Nash lives in a two-bedroom apartment in the Lower East Side with Amy Grantham. New York has also become the place where he continues his habit of walking, visiting museums, and carrying his camera with him. He has said that he still walks several miles a day and always wants to keep observing the life around him. Nash's lifestyle places considerable emphasis on health. He has not eaten meat for many years and follows a vegetarian diet. According to his 2025 comments, he practices transcendental meditation in the morning and works out at the gym about 3 times a week. He maintains these habits alongside his music schedule. Nash also keeps a fairly regular daily routine. He usually starts his day later than many people, spending time meditating and exercising. In the evening, he often has dinner with Amy and then watches some television programs. His current life is therefore quite different from the years when he was constantly touring. Music remains his central occupation. This year, Nash continues Live on Tour 2026 with performances scheduled across numerous cities in the United States. The currently announced tour dates extend through October, showing that he continues to perform on stage at 84. His current shows cover his entire career from the Hollies to Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, and his solo compositions. The supporting lineup includes musicians such as Todd Caldwell, Adam Minkoff, and Zach Janikian. These performances continue to bring familiar songs to new audiences. Health remains an important factor in Nash's schedule. The effects of an accident in Hawaii have caused him long-term problems with his legs. Earlier this year, he also suffered a knee injury after falling while walking. Even so, Nash has continued to appear on stage. Several performances in 2026 show that he is still able to deliver extended shows featuring songs spanning many decades. The set lists include Marrakesh Express, Military Madness, Our House, Teach Your Children, and many other songs from CSN Crosby and Nash and his solo career. Alongside performing, Nash continues to devote time to songwriting. He continues developing new music projects and remains engaged with social issues. One of his recent projects is the song Out in the Snow, created with Amy Grantham, further showing that music remains a means for him to reflect on contemporary issues. Photography also holds an important place in Nash's current life. Nash began taking photographs as a child and later developed into a photographer collector and pioneer in digital imaging. His archive now contains hundreds of photographs documenting music, family, friends, and life on the road. His photography projects continue to expand Nash's legacy beyond music. His photographs have been collected into separate publications, including Eye to Eye, which features more than 150 photographs. This shows that photography is not merely a side activity, but has become a lasting part of his career. Financially, Graham Nash is estimated by various sources to have a net worth of around $50 million generated from music royalties, touring, and artistic activities. He has previously owned real estate in California and Hawaii. Still, the most important part of his current life is not expanding his wealth, but maintaining his ability to continue working. Nash has said that he wants to live to 100, and at 84, he is still living toward that goal. He continues to perform on stage, write music, and pursue his own projects, while the songs that have accompanied him for decades continue to be performed for new audiences. Nash's current life appears stable, but reaching this point required him to pass through many upheavals in the past. Behind the peaceful years of his present life lies a chapter that left deep distances within his own family. A broken family. In 2014, Graham Nash met artist Amy Grantham backstage after a CSN performance. Grantham was about 4 decades younger than Nash. Their relationship later developed while Nash's marriage to Susan Sennett had not ended, bringing major changes to his personal life. 2 years later, Graham Nash and Susan Sennett officially divorced after about 38 years of marriage. The decision ended Nash's longest marriage and led to significant changes in his life. Nash then moved to New York to begin a new life with Amy Grantham. The divorce also affected Nash's relationship with his 3 children, Jackson, Will, and Niall. His children kept their distance and at times nearly cut off contact with their father. Nash publicly said that his children did not accept his decision, even though he believed he had only ended the marriage. Nash once explained that he divorced the mother of his children, not his children themselves. He acknowledged that the distance caused him deep pain. Of the 3 children, his daughter maintained a friendlier relationship with him than his 2 sons, though the family never returned to the way it was before. Before the marriage ended, Nash had described Susan Sennett as the great love of his life and wrote extensively about his children in his memoir, Wild Tales. He also spoke about his children and grandchildren with affection, showing how important family had been in his life. After the divorce, that relationship changed significantly. In 2022, Nash admitted that he was barely speaking with his 2 sons, Jackson and Will, while Niall remained friendlier toward him. He said his children did not want him to be part of their lives after his divorce from Susan. Nash said the separation was painful, but he did not want to force his children to return. When asked about reconciliation, Nash said he was not actively waiting for it. He believed trying to repair the relationship could leave him living in pain, so he chose to respect his children's decision. The distance had become a difficult and lasting part of his family life. Nash acknowledged the consequences of his choice and the pain of losing closeness with his children. At the same time, he believed he could not continue living in a marriage he no longer wanted to maintain. In 2019, Graham Nash married Amy Grantham. They continued their life in New York, where Nash devoted much of his time to music photography and personal activities. The marriage marked a major change after nearly 4 decades with Susan Sennett. As his personal life changed, Nash's relationship with David Crosby also became complicated. Their disagreements included issues surrounding Nash's memoir, Wild Tales, which affected the friendship between the 2 founding members of CSN. Later, Nash and Crosby resumed contact through email and planned a FaceTime conversation, but the meeting never happened before Crosby died in January 2023. After his death, Nash publicly remembered his longtime friend and collaborator, emphasizing their decades of music disagreement and reconciliation. Crosby's death ended an important chapter in CSN's history. Nash continued as a solo artist, performing songs connected to the group and carrying much of its musical legacy to audiences. In January 2025, Nash appeared with Stephen Stills at the Fire Aid benefit concert in Los Angeles. Their appearance together was notable after many years apart on stage and showed that Nash remained active as a performer. The performance with Stills also recalled the period when Nash's musical relationships with major artists brought him to the height of his career. Before the changes in his personal life, he had made a long journey from England to the stages that helped shape rock music history. That journey would eventually transform Nash from a successful British singer into one of the defining voices of a generation, with his work alongside Crosby, Stills, and Young becoming a lasting part of his legacy. The CSNY era. In the 1960s, Graham Nash began building his reputation in Britain as a member of the Hollies, one of the most successful pop groups of the era. His clear tenor voice and harmony skills became important elements of the group's sound. The Hollies had numerous well-known songs including Bus Stop Carrie Ann and On a Carousel. The Hollies later became a major name in both Britain and the United States. Nash handled vocals and contributed to songwriting as the group expanded into international markets. His work with the Hollies gave him extensive experience in recording, touring, and harmonizing skills that later became an important foundation for his career. In 1968, Nash decided to leave the Hollies. The decision came from his desire to pursue a different musical direction and his increasingly close connection with David Crosby and Stephen Stills. Nash later recalled hearing the two musicians sing together and almost immediately recognizing the special quality of the combination of their voices. That meeting led to the formation of Crosby, Stills, and Nash in 1969. Their self-titled debut album introduced a distinctive combination of tight harmonies, acoustic instruments, and carefully arranged songwriting. Nash quickly established himself as one of the group's principal songwriters, contributing several important songs to its early identity. One of his best-known compositions was Marrakesh Express, which became a major hit and gained widespread recognition among international audiences. Nash also wrote Lady of the Island, revealing a more intimate and gentle side of his songwriting. His songs added a further musical balance alongside the distinct styles of Crosby and Stills. The trio's reputation grew quickly, making them an important part of the developing music scene in California. Their performance at Woodstock in August of the same year further elevated their profile. Though their set was brief, Woodstock became one of the defining musical events of the era and brought Crosby, Stills, and Nash to a massive audience. Neil Young later became another important figure. His arrival formed Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, bringing together four musicians with distinct musical personalities, independent careers, and strong creative directions. The expanded lineup recorded Deja Vu, released in 1970, which became one of the most important albums associated with this period. Nash played a prominent role on Deja Vu, particularly through the songs Teach Your Children and Our House. Our House later became one of the compositions most closely associated with his name, and clearly reflected the softer melodic side of Nash's music. His ability to create memorable melodies over simple harmonies gave his compositions a distinctive identity. The success of CSNY turned Nash into an internationally influential musical figure. His voice was instantly recognizable, while his songwriting brought a clear melodic quality to the group's increasingly diverse work. Alongside Crosby, Stills, and Young, Nash helped shape the sound of folk rock and influence the direction of popular music in the early 1970s. The success took Graham Nash to the height of his career while also placing him among strong personalities and increasingly difficult conflicts. From this point, the story of CSN and CSNY began to move in a completely different direction. The price of fame. In the early 1970s, tensions within CSN and CSNY continued to grow. David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Graham Nash, and Neil Young frequently disagreed over songwriting, recording, and touring schedules. Cocaine use further intensified the egos and conflicts among the members. After Deja Vu and the tour, CSNY did not maintain a stable working relationship. Neil Young returned to his solo career, while Crosby, Stills, and Nash also pursued individual projects. CSN and CSNY later broke up and reunited several times when the members found conditions that allowed them to work together. Those changes did not cause Nash to stop making music. Instead, he increasingly focused on his own path. In 1971, Songs for Beginners became his first major solo album. The record showed that Nash could establish an independent voice beyond the supergroup's harmonies. On Songs for Beginners, Chicago and Military Madness clearly reflected Nash's concern with political and social issues. These themes aligned with the activism he continued to pursue afterward, while also distinguishing his solo songwriting from the work of CSN. A few years later, Nash released Wild Tales, continuing to develop his personal songwriting style. He also maintained his collaboration with David Crosby through duo projects. Crosby and Nash frequently recorded and performed together, creating a separate branch of activity alongside the various CSN and CSNY reunions. Social activism became a significant part of Nash's career. In 1979, he joined Muse and the No Nukes series of concerts, which focused on opposition to nuclear energy. The performances brought together many prominent artists, showing that Nash's music continued to be connected to social issues beyond entertainment. Nash also developed another creative direction through photography. He became interested in photographic printing technology and image reproduction quality, later founding Nash Editions. The company became one of his notable projects in digital imaging combining art and technology. In 1990, Nash offered a collection of photographs for sale at Sotheby's. The activity strengthened his position in the visual arts alongside his established reputation in music. Photography was not simply a personal interest, but became a significant part of his creative work. In 2010, Graham Nash was appointed an OBE by Britain for his contributions to music and social activism. The honor added another important milestone to a career spanning several decades, during which he worked simultaneously as a singer-songwriter, activist, and photographer. The fractures on stage were only one part of Nash's life. As his career continued to change, the relationships behind the spotlight also left their own lasting marks. Love and loss. In the late 1960s, Graham Nash's personal life was marked by several notable relationships, the most prominent of which was with Joni Mitchell. The two lived together in Laurel Canyon, California, at a time when Nash was building his reputation with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. During his relationship with Joni, Mitchell-Nash wrote Our House, one of his most famous songs. The song was inspired by the life they shared together in Laurel Canyon. After their relationship ended, its influence continued to appear in Nash's songwriting and memories. The relationship between Nash and Mitchell became a notable part of Laurel Canyon's musical history. Decades later, he continued to hold the singer in high regard. Nash once said that he sent roses to Mitchell on her birthday every year, a habit he maintained for many years. Before his relationship with Mitchell, Nash had been married to Rose Eccles. The two married in 1964, and the marriage ended 2 years later. It was his first marriage taking place while the Hollies' career was still developing, and before Nash fully moved into the American music market. One of the most serious events in Nash's life occurred in 1975. Amy Gossage, his 19-year-old girlfriend, was murdered by her brother with a hammer. The incident became a major loss for Nash and had a lasting impact on his personal life. Nash later discussed the murder in interviews and said that he had struggled to write about the incident in his memoir. The tragedy affected not only his personal life, but also his ability to write music. It was one of the losses Nash rarely discussed in detail. After those events, Nash entered his second marriage with Susan Sennett. The two married in the late 1970s and had 3 children, Jackson, Will, and Niall. The marriage lasted about 38 years, becoming the longest family relationship of his life. During his marriage to Susan, Nash's family life remained relatively stable while he continued his musical activities, touring, and personal projects. He also maintained his work in photography and social activism, keeping his personal and professional schedules closely intertwined. In 1999, Nash suffered a serious accident while in Hawaii. He broke both legs with one leg fractured in 2 places. The injuries required surgery and the use of titanium rods to support the bones. The effects of the accident continued to be mentioned for many years afterward. The recovery directly affected Nash's ability to move around, but did not stop him from working. He continued performing and pursuing creative activities, with problems involving his legs continuing to appear over the years. That was only one part of a journey spanning many decades, during which Graham Nash experienced the height of fame, separations, losses, and major changes within his family. After all those changes, he still chose to remain on stage, write music, and live with the things that had been part of his life for so many years. Perhaps that is what stands out most about Graham Nash today. If you want to learn more about the stories behind the lives of music legends, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next videos.